There is a lost and mysterious city in the southern part of the Philippines, and the legendary phantom city is called Biringan. The city of Biringan, in the local dialect means place of lost people, is a phantom city of the magical and mystical hidden city of the Encantos, spirits and elementals that are deeply rooted in the country's ancient animistic and religious cultures, with legends, folklores, and mythologies rooted in Anadism. Known as being one of the popular urban legends, the city is an unknown place with inhabitants that adores its victims, with gifts and wealth of fantastical and magical aspects. Despite this, multiple stories have depicted it often ending in same conclusion: those who enter will never come back. It is often compared to the lost city of El Dorado and the sunken city of Atlantis, with elements of horror, mysticism, magic, and lore just as interesting as most missing civilizations' urban legends around the world. And if you don't know what Encantos are, in Filipino mythology, they're basically the elvish-like, quasi-alien-like versions of out-of-this-world humanoid creatures and spirits of insurmountably unexplained shapes in the Philippines, but more broad and complicated to describe since recorded sightings of them are blurry and vary from one place to another. If you're going to ask the locals about the missing place and its inhabitants, however, due to piquing curiosity or a sense of adventure, they'd rather have you talk about it in whispers. In fact, they'd rather not have you talk about it and them alone. Any conversation about the said city will make any local hush you in total silence, for retribution committed by the said inhabitants of the mystical metropolis is guaranteed. People here often believe that they have ears behind mystical trees and can hear almost everything in the human world, while some believe that they can make themselves unseen to the human naked eye. You see, most locals are afraid of this place, not only because it is not any other ordinary city not found in the human world, but also not any other ordinary legend either. It's not even there in the first place, let alone exist. The existence and exact location of Biringan City is a huge doozy. Samar is the third largest and seventh most populous island in the Philippines. It is located in the eastern Visayas, within the central Philippines. The island is divided into 3 provinces: Samar, Northern Samar, and Eastern Samar. The location of the city, however, varies from person to person as per experts, documents, rate of sightings, and experiences. But because of these personal tales and monumental research, it is theorized that it is somewhere between Calbayog City and Catamon in Samar, though the exact location is pretty much unknown. And I guess it's good to keep it that way, hidden and unknown. Locals would never venture too far out in the dark night, nor speak of it, for the said ghost city's inhabitants are rather malignant in nature. Filipino horror and urban legends can be generally described as, like many Asian horrors, being in the wrong place at the wrong time. It doesn't always matter how saint or evil you are as a person, supernatural forces will mess you up so long as you manage to disturb their peace. If you're a truck, bus, or vehicular driver passing by and or through the said location of the hidden city, you might find yourself looping again and again on the same asphalt road. If you're a maiden or a beautiful young lady, and if someone from the said city likes you, they may lure you in by tempting treasures or forcibly abduct you. If you're a fisherman, on the near bodies of water, you might find yourself catching batches and batches of fish, not knowing that the city is right below your boat, with the then body of water as the city's sky. If you're a simple businessman, some of the city's inhabitants may pose as imposters, pretending as normal human beings, to lure you into their city. As scary as it may sound, it is all according to the accounts of those who are taken and those who safely escaped from it. However, only a handful of chosen ones are taken into the city, according to the townsfolk, for it is engulfed in magic that hides the place from the naked eye. According to them, trees are used as portals to their world. An example of this tree is the Balit tree. You can look it up in Google Images. Only 7 of these portals exist, and one is said to exist near the Pagsanghan Falls. These portals connect their world to our world, letting Encantos out of their world to ours, letting people from our world accidentally come to theirs and vice versa. The inhabitants are vastly Encantos, the magical ones or elementals. They are pretty much spirits of nature, sometimes described with elvish-like forms, but each varies depending on the origin of the lore or their regional origins in the Philippines. Some are good, some are neutral, and some are evil. It is the etymology of their name whatsoever. To enchant. They often possess powerful magical abilities unfathomable to the human mind, things that are not meant to be seen or inflicted upon in the human world. Just one of the many things to remember. Even if you do or do not believe in such creatures, you do not want to mess with them. Their name's etymology does take into account that they can be tricksters or magicians or corporeal supernatural beings capable of casting spells that are either beautiful or harrowing. They can create and destroy anyone's way of life, and it even depends if they are being used or misused by local witches, warlocks, faith healers, and sorcerers. They can take form in any manner, but the prominent ones are those described as majestic, tall, humanoid creatures with long ears, majestic hair, no philtrum, and fair skin wearing nature-like garments. They also have their own society, typically portrayed as either absolute monarchies, socialistic democracy, or fascistic autocracy in most mainstream media. Though these are highly debatable since no one really knows how their societies work. They can also be ghost-like, monster-like, or any other form of a spirit. They are also invisible to the human eye, but their presence can either be vaguely and noticeably felt. The ones on Biringan can, however, take on any living form. They sometimes pretend to be humans or animals in the real world to lure people into their city. They look very human-like, and you wouldn't necessarily suspect that it is an encanto pretending to be one. They also don't show their true forms, especially to the unchosen. Much of the myths and legends of shape-shifting magical creatures in the Philippines somehow stem from these encantos. These beliefs, though preposterous as they may seem, are deeply rooted in the country's animistic culture, even before Christianity and Islam were the major religions that tried to convert the country's natives during pre-colonial and colonial times. Animism is the belief that objects, places, and creatures all possess a distinct spiritual essence. Potentially, animism perceives all things, animals, plants, rocks, rivers, weather systems, human handiwork, and perhaps even words, as animated and alive. The encantos that dwell inside the mysterious city are said to be living in cathedral-like buildings, with dusk skies that are seemingly similar to ours, flora and fauna that await to be discovered, and riches that are beyond real-world comprehension. And though these materialistic ideas pretty much created a perfectly utopian-like city, when one enters the city, accidentally or forcibly, you have to trust no one and have to get out immediately. One of the major rules to follow if you do end up inside the city is to never, ever eat anything in the city or anything the inhabitants may offer, no matter how tempting it may be. The inhabitants of Biringan may offer you black-colored food. Sometimes, you may also have to choose between black-colored food or white-colored food. It can also vary, as they can offer any sort of food. Those made in gold, those delicious enough to be seen as something from the human world, and those that are just plain unrecognizable yet saliva-inducing. Do not take gifts from them as well. They will appear in front of you in human-like forms as they offer you trinkets, riches, and items that will severely tempt you to stay with them. No matter what you do, never, ever eat or accept anything while inside their city. What happens if you do? Your spirit will be trapped in there forever. Your physical body may be left somewhere in the real world, lying as if it's in a state of everlasting coma or worse. If you do manage to avoid these offers, memorize and follow other rules, and manage to get out safely, you'll find yourself awake in the real-world days, weeks, months, or even years from being asleep along with nothing but a memory of the said city. Just imagine, days within their city would be months or years in the real world. Biringan City is still the talk of the town, even making its way into various featured media and news headlines. It also made its way to literary and artistic forms, with some adopting the stories of those who got trapped in Biringan into written stories or shows. It's also a head-scratcher for those who wish to find it. Another city in Samar, one in the real world, almost carries the same city name, Biringan. Telltales of the ghost city still linger in the minds of those who know it, especially those who have entered and escaped from it. Other Philippine mythology also stems from the city, especially when you're venturing into pockets of forests in the country. One example is that if you ever find yourself lost, You have to turn your shirt inside out since an elemental or a malevolent spirit may be playing you. Another is the terrifying Tambal, malignant spirits that lure and steal children, as well as their identity, and almost realistically impersonate them in the real world. Another is the Santelmo, or unfathomable floating orbs of fire or lightning capable of disintegrating living beings at the slightest touch. Nevertheless, Biringan City is still an alive culture that lives purely for its intriguing peculiarities. It may or may not be true, or people may or may not believe in it, but if victims of the said city tell you otherwise, you may want to think and believe if the whole thing is either true or false. So, what do you think? Tell us your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear it. Please support this channel and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this. Take care and be safe.